Good morning and welcome to day 7 of Script Gym. I am Robert Naturman, your professor, and today's quote of the day is, "Making movies is 80% script and 20% getting great actors. There's nothing else to it." William Wyler said that. And if you don't know who William Wyler is, he was a great director, not a writer. He was a great director. And he knew something about good scripts. So definitely check him out. He has a great catalog of films, including Best Years of Our Lives, which won Best Picture. And today, I want to congratulate you on starting your script, which is the hardest thing to do. And you've hopefully have completed pages 1 to 10, and you've sent them to me by this morning's class. And then we're going to continue on from there. Today's pages 11 to 20. So today's lesson will be a warm-up, a writing exercise, a short lecture about pages 11 to 20, and then a little workout, and which is just increasing a little bit from 2 days ago, which was also a Zoom or asynchronous video, and then we're gonna get you writing. So it should be a very quick video. We'll get through this really quickly. The warm-up is more static, focus on breath. Yesterday we did a lot of plank work and some defensive martial arts moves, and today we'll be back to a yoga, which I will put, the basic moves that we've done with the vinyasa. And then, but there'll also be a video that you can follow along, which is about 10 minutes, which is also very helpful. You feel free to do either one or look up any number of yoga workouts or warm-ups online. The writing exercise is called Eat, Drink, and Be Merry. So I want you to take 10 minutes. The question is basically, it's eat, drink, and be merry, and the remainder of that sentence is for tomorrow we die. Ideally, that is not the case, but imagine, if you will, tomorrow the world will end, and you have your final meal. Who will you eat it with? What will you serve? Where will it be? Just really, go to town with that one. And if you saw the movie Don't Look Up, it was the only really good scene in the movie was the final, dinner scene. I thought everyone was really wonderful in that scene. The rest of the movie didn't quite match it, but so that's your task. So pause, take 10 minutes, and come on back when you're done. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Eat, drink, and be merry, and we'll see you in 10. Welcome back. If you didn't pause it, well, then you didn't really welcome back from anywhere, because I was here the whole time. So now that you've done the warm-up and the writing exercise, let's talk about page 10 to 20. So since we did all that setup, and everything starts to kick in around page 10, at this point you want the audience to care. They wanted to stick around. You've had 10 minutes to establish your central question and who the main character is, what their world is like, what their status quo, and ideally, if you haven't had the inciting incident at this point, it could come very early in the script. It could come page 5, it could come around page 10, it could even come later. Something's going to interrupt that status quo, and that could come in the pages that you're about to write. But we want to get to know this character. So as far as the central question, here's a few examples. The Wizard of Oz, which I talk about as a structurally perfect script. Will Dorothy find her way home to Kansas or meet her fate at the hands of the Wicked Witch of the West? The Wicked Witch doesn't even enter into the end of the first act, but at least the central question is, there's no place like home. That's the theme running through it. Will Rocky prove himself when he meets Apollo Creed, or will he live the rest of his life knowing that he's just another bum from the neighborhood? And again, I've talked about Rocky, where his main goal is to win the fight initially, and that changes. It means just to survive. Will Frodo succeed in his effort to return the One Ring to Mordor, or will the Dark Lord Sauron gain possession of it and use its power to enslave the world? And these questions come, the central question even comes in dramatic, character-driven scripts. Driving Miss Daisy, will she grow beyond the prejudices of which she was raised and accept her driver as an equal human being? Even comedies, silly comedies. Will Harold and Kumar break out of their loser molds and make it to the White Castle for sliders and fries? If you haven't seen Harold and Kumar go to the White Castle, that's what I'm referring to. So the central dramatic question is posed in Act 1, which is what you're in, explored and exploited in Act 2, and then answered, resolved in Act 3. The audience won't care about the dramatic conflict unless they care about the character. So how do we get the audience to care about characters? Think of films that you've seen that you really care about the characters, that you connect with them emotionally. And that's really what we're going for, is an emotional connection. And that comes from giving us a fully well-rounded character in this first act. I've read people like to think of it as something, how you meet someone and they become your friend. You're introduced, you get an initial impression, you have an idea of what they're like, you talk briefly, find out about what they like for their life, you know a little bit about them, you know enough that you want to keep going and find out more about them, and so think of this is the development of a friendship. Now, that said, the two things that, to be noted about writing the character, one, which I mentioned to a couple of you, we talked about, is to make it as difficult on your character as possible. So you wouldn't want to necessarily be sadistic toward your friend. But there's a weird dynamic with scripts. The harder you make it on them, the more the audience will be, go along with them for the ride. If you make it too easy and everything just sort of works out for them, there's less chance of us really forming that connection with them, as opposed to they have to overcome all these obstacles, whether they be internal or external, personal or, dealing with another person, getting over their flaws, their weaknesses, their frailties, their insecurities to accomplish whatever it is that you set out that they need to accomplish. So pages 10 to 20 is about learning more about this character, things that may play into their success or failure later on. And the second thing to know about the character is that we don't necessarily have to like them, even though it's a friendship. It's more that we're compelled to keep watching them, but it doesn't have to necessarily, they don't have to be likable people, as it were. There's the hero and the anti-hero, and a lot of times a flawed character who makes choices that we wouldn't necessarily make or even, respect, still can be compelling if they're committed to whatever there is that they're doing. So think of it like page 20, like I said, 10 to 20 is kind of like developing this friendship, or at least getting to know this character better. And remember about scenes: enter at the last best moment and leave at the best earliest time. How does the first 10 pages lead to the next 20? As I said, we know a lot from the first 10 pages. Whatever you've set up is what you build upon. If you already have your inciting incident, then you have the decision leading to the point of no return. It's unlikely. Now, it's usually, the end of the act is usually 25% of the script. So if it's 120 pages, we're gauging it as if it's 120. Now, you may finish your script at page 100. So figure you want to get to around page 25, 26 to be the end of your act. So you're approaching that. You're building on the decision of the inciting incident before the point of no return, which we'll deal with much more tomorrow. your inciting incident is, as I say, it's changing. You saw the Truman Show where the light fell down. Now, he doesn't change his life yet, but it's simmering inside before he actually does. He's curious about it and maybe even puts it out of his mind, but then ultimately it leads to a decision in which sets him into crisis. And the scenes, of course, you want your character in crisis, you want conflict with whatever it is they're facing. And at this point, this is where you want to potentially, if you don't have to have the antagonistic forces fully, you could present those antagonistic forces on page 1, or you can do it somewhere, the midpoint. But ideally, there's something preventing this character from getting it is what they want. And, you're going to introduce that at some point, 10 to 20, if you haven't already. It's the place to set up everything that you want to know is in Act 1. Each scene should show character, advance the story again, give information, build the situation, build on the previous scene, and express the viewpoint that you want us to understand. Now, you're leading us as a screenwriter into how, not only what you want us to experience, but how you want us to experience it. And you put that in your script. How we see things, what's the point of view, what's the perspective, is up to the writer. And we can only see the film through what you tell us and how you tell us. Right? And remember, with action, you want to break it up into shots. So you're still into the introductory phase, but you're building on what you've established yesterday. If you haven't had your inciting incident, this is where you want to have it. By this point, you want to at least put them into a critical situation that's going to lead them ultimately into crisis. At this point, they're not quite there yet, but you've rocked the boat a little bit. So think about those things, 11 to 20. Again, it's building on. It's sort of the middle of Act 1. If your Act 1 is 30 pages, here's your right. And middle is always the hardest to do because it's building on all the introductory stuff that you've already started. It's like Star Wars, and then you've got The Empire Strikes Back. Is the hardest one to write, probably because it's leading to what ultimately will conclude. So that's your task for today. Try and get that in those 10 pages. If you can get 10 pages, that's really your goal for the day. And again, about goal setting is keep going back to those goals. Remember, when it gets hard, go back to the inspiration. Now you're in the dedication commitment. You've committed to this class and you've committed to writing this script, and now it's real. You're taking action. And when it does get hard, you keep going back to that, what inspired you to write this in the first place. Okay, so that's your task for today. Also, and now we get on to the exercise, which are 35 high knees, a 45-second plank. So time yourself for 45 seconds. I know we did some plank work yesterday and plank before push-ups, so you're definitely building up your shoulders and your back and your abs. So a 45-second plank, 25 lunges, 45-second wall sit, and you can go up against the wall and sit down, your knees at a right angle. Time yourself for 45 seconds. And then rather than give you 15 push-ups, we'll because yesterday was a little bit hard, we'll give you 14. And we'll build on that. We'll go a little bit more next time. So again, 35 high knees, 45-second plank, 25 lunges, 45-second wall sit, and 14 push-ups. And then when you're finished with that, make sure you hydrate, catch your breath, calm yourself, put on some music. Whatever it is going to inspire you. Like I said, you might want to go to your previous page or 2 pages that you wrote yesterday, firm them up, clean them up, and then move on to your page 11 to 20. And that's where you're at. So congratulations on pages 1 to 10, starting this thing. It's the hardest thing to do, but I'm really proud of you guys. You're doing great. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. I'm around all day. Today, Thursday. If you're having issues, some of you discussed your script with me. I was happy to do that. And I hope to read all your treatments and in the opening pages as well. So there we are. Have a happy Thursday. And again, pages 11 to 20. So we will see you tomorrow in person. We'll decide about Monday what you guys want to do, if you wanted to meet via video, or if you wanted to meet on Tuesday instead in person, which one or the other. We'll either meet in person on Monday or meet in person on Tuesday, depending on what you want to do, because it is a holiday. So if nothing else, I will see you guys tomorrow. And have a great Thursday. Good luck with the pages, and keep up the great work.